Pops, we're going to react to one of our original videos where we gave some really bad advice.
Well, nothing excites me more than critiquing my own piss-poor performance.
So this video, this was don't buy a used car yet. Here's why you should wait 60 to 90 days.
Yes,
to buy
and
a
this
used
was
car.
back in April of last year, I think.
Let's double check. April 22nd, 2020.
A little over a year ago.
All right. How you doing, Pops?
Oh, my God. First of all, I had a lot of hair and I was fatter back then.
No. You blended.
Yeah.
You blended to the wall. That's fantastic. Although I shouldn't really talk. I had quite the setup myself.
I'm living the life of waiting for my son to say we're actually
Has anything changed?
No.
going to record now, and I just really have no idea when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
I look good with the long hair. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't think people tuned in for that. Can we get to the bad advice?
On the wholesale market, used car values, not the volume of cars that are being sold, nothing like that. Just the values of used cars are worth 10% less today than they were even a month ago. Now, when we look at that, we're getting that information from Cox Automotive, which owns Manheim. And I think you've talked about in some videos in the past Manheim, but maybe just give a brief overview.
So when we filmed this, Dad,
Yes.
this is when used car prices were dropping.
Yes, like a rock.
Okay.
And we anticipated that would continue for another 60 to 90 days because we were 6 weeks or 4 weeks into the pandemic, and there didn't appear to be anything on the horizon that would suggest dealerships were going to be able to open up soon and that sales were going to be able to return to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
How wrong my thinking was.
What's Manheim and how does it work?
Manheim Auto Auctions. They're the leading auto auctions, and they have locations throughout the country. The original location is in, well, get this, Manheim, Pennsylvania, hence the name Manheim Auto Auctions. And they're the largest purveyor of auction cars in the country. And they're owned by Cox Automotive. And because Cox owns them, they're able to track used car pricing, wholesale pricing, in real time and give you what's known as the Manheim Market Report, which is what the relative value of a car is based on what dealers have been paying for them at the auctions within the past few days.
Yep. And with a lot of auctions, if not all auctions, for at least a period of time being closed, it was hard to collect data. It was a shock unlike anything we've ever seen. But now that that information is coming in, we've actually seen from some of the Manheim market reports some positive indicators, like from the last report to this report. I think sales previously had been down. So this is now retail sales had previously been down 72%. And this most recent report, it was closer to 50%.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's jump ahead. Let's see. Where the heck were we making recommendations that people should wait?
Significantly as the wholesale prices.
And just to add some context.
Okay, I just jumped to that, but like
report,
that's the same story for the past year.
Apparently, it's the same story ad infinitum. It never seems to end. But truth be told, looking back on it a year later, the prices did drop and were relatively low in comparison to what we saw happen come July and August and September and well, what's still continuing to happen today.
Yeah. Now, obviously, for the chip shortage reasons.
Well, just overall shortages of everything
that you had purchased prior to April 1st. And by April 15th, that used car inventory had lost 10% of its real value, of its wholesale value. Your dealership, on paper, has just lost $300,000 in, 15 days. So as the dealer, what do? Well, it's like buying stocks. You cost average. You buy low and you average it out over the cost of all your cars. So if you have, say, 10 Lexus RX 400s that you own for too much money, and you buy 10 more at a 10% reduction, you cost average. And now suddenly your whole inventory might be 5% higher than it should be, as opposed to 10% higher than it should be.
So I have an interesting...
Still holds true?
Well, I think cost averaging still holds true, yeah.
thought the... Oh, go ahead, Ray, sorry.
Wait. I called you Ray there. I'm sorry. The OG Your Auto Advocate members know that I struggled mightily early days.
Yes.
Do I call you Dad? Do I call you Pops? Do I call you Ray?
Yeah, you didn't know what the hell to call me.
Well, when I first met you, I called you Ray.
I'm pretty sure you didn't call me anything. You just wailed and kind of looked at me and said, "Could you change my diaper?"
And so because of that, dealers at this point don't feel enough pressure to reduce the retail pricing enough to make up for it. Now, if sales continue to slide 50 to 60 to 70% a month, and the need for cash flow becomes greater, then you will see the reduction in the retail asking price as well.
But I guess...
So that was our miss.
Yes.
Sales on the retail side didn't decline at the same rate as they initially did with the pandemic.
No.
They went... I think I was watching a CNBC video on the chip shortage recently, which I should totally share with you, but...
Nah.
I think it was something like the year-over-year decline by the time we got to May and June was only like 30%, 20%.
Yeah, and as it turned out, the smart dealers
were buying
pre-owned inventory, whereas a lot of dealers were afraid to buy inventory and just sat. And smart dealers bought cars much less expensively than they had been able to in the past, and they held on to those cars until the market rebounded, and they were able to make nice profits on those cars.
So what's the lesson learned here for us?
Who knew? I mean, you would think, and I did think that we were going to stay in the throes of that pandemic, and dealerships were going to remain closed longer than they ultimately ended up remaining closed.
Yeah.
They most of them started opening up again in May and June, and there had been some pent up demand already, and people were out buying cars. So realistically, May and June is when, if somebody was looking for a used car, as it turns out, that's when they should have been buying them. By the time July rolled around, wholesale prices were starting to increase significantly, and dealers were asking higher and higher retail prices. So who knew that you shouldn't be waiting 60 to 90 days? That's when you should have been buying cars. Now, if you look at that and you try and predict today the shortages are worse. There's fewer cars than there's been. Everybody's scuffling to find cars, and the dealers are paying at a wholesale level. They're really paying retail numbers, and they're charging over retail to sell the cars. And there doesn't seem to be anything stopping from people buying those cars. So it's probably cheaper, as expensive as the cars are today. It's probably going to be cheaper to buy a car today than, say, 60 to 90 days from now.
Title of our next video will be "Don't Wait 60 to 90 days."
But who knew? Yeah. I mean, we didn't know that there was going to be a semiconductor microchip shortage that was going to impact new car production. That meant that there were going to be shortages of new cars, which meant that there were going to be shortages of trade-ins. We didn't know that. Who knew? Who knew that there were going to be, because of the cold weather in Texas in January and February, that because of the petrochemical issues, that would translate into foam shortages for seats. Who knew that there wasn't enough natural rubber trees out there to be producing all the rubber that they need for a lot of the components in cars? So I didn't know that. Nobody really knows the future. I guess some commodity dealers know the future to a certain degree. They know where the shortages are going to be. I certainly didn't. So utilizing what had been standard type information in the past was not the right information to be using when it came to the suggestion in April of last year to wait 60 to 90 days. That's when people actually should have been buying cars. I thought, dealers were going to get scared poopless, and they were going to watch their costs go up because they were paying for these cars, and they figured, well, we got to get some cash flow, and they'll sell them. But it didn't happen quite like that. So they just sold. Dealers just sold cars, and they sold them at what is probably 10 to 15% less expensively than what those same cars would bring today. I mean, we've seen
more.
Maybe
Probably
20% less, because the increase in used car values has been staggering. So
I think, just to give you my 2 cents on what we can learn from this experience.
Yeah. Don't listen to us?
No. I'm going to try and sum it up very, very succinctly.
Okay.
The past doesn't predict the future.
That is correct. Yes. The past does not predict the future. You just who knew? You
put a big smile on my face because I was trying my hardest to, in 2 sentences, just be like this. And I thought you were about to go on with it.
No, you were absolutely correct. The past performance does not indicate future performance. So there you have it. I quit now.
This is our performance. If you're new to Your Auto Advocate, check out the website down below. Pop's final comments just on our old filming.
Yeah,
I think we've leveled up a little bit. You literally
blended into the wall.
What was the lighting situation? I mean,
who the hell? I don't know. It was terrible.
Who was your makeup artist?
Why would anybody have watched this stuff? And this, I believe, is our 4th or 5th most
332,000 views.
Yeah.
Sorry,
folks. Hopefully, the production quality has increased. Almost as much as used car prices have.